Greetings, Red Tie community. It's the bald guy in the red tie with the Red Tie Community Show. And I have a very special guest. I know you can't wait because you're so excited. You're like, John, who could it possibly be? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. James Stewart. You're like, James Stewart, the motocross racer? No. James Stewart, the actor from the 1930s and 40s? No. Someone far more popular, far more infamous, and famous. We're talking about Mr. Stu with Stu's Barbershops in Temecula, California. A haircutting empire was built. Stu, welcome to the Stu-dio. It's not as funny the second time, is it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That was good.
I try.
Yeah.
I write my own jokes, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Still working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Work in progress. Welcome, though. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, Stu actually has multiple barbershops throughout Southern California, specifically in Temecula primarily, but also Lake Elsinore and...
Wildemar.
Where?
Wildemar and Marietta.
Wildemar, Marietta. And don't you have one over in...
Orange County.
Orange County?
Ladera Ranch, yes.
Ladera Ranch.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like a mogul. Humbly put.
More like a juggler.
A juggler.
A juggler, yes.
Well, what we wanted to talk about today is how you came into the community and really started all this. I love backstories, and that's what the Red Tie community is all about, is sharing your story and connecting it with the rest of the community. So you are not a California native.
Negative.
So where did you come from?
I came from a little town called Oswego, Illinois.
Everybody knows Oswego. Yeah.
Everybody knows Oswego. So, and that's where the story begins with Stu and Stu's Barbershop. So I actually picked up the name Stu from my best friend in high school. My freshman year, he started calling me Stu, and it literally stuck. So literally all the way through high school and to this day, everybody calls me Stu because my best friend started calling me Stu. And so in my high school, they offered a ROP class that allowed me to escape high school and go to barber school. So me being not the most studious individual, I always looked for opportunities to leave school whenever I could. So, and barbering was one of those classes. So my junior and senior year, I spent half the day at Oswego High, the other half at Aurora Barber College. And so when I graduated high school in 1978, I graduated barber school in September, so 3 months after I graduated high school, and got my barber's license. And so I had to apprentice for 27 months underneath a master barber.
Wow.
So I did that, and then took the state board again. In Illinois, you had to take it twice. And so I got my master's barber's license and then opened up my first shop in 1983 at the age of 22. I was just turning 23. And so I had that shop there for about 8 years, and it was an incredibly busy shop. It did incredibly well. But after 29 years of 10 below zero winters and 100 below wind chill factors, and there was a tornado the year before I left that literally decimated the town right next to me. And so I thought, maybe God is calling me somewhere else. So I ended up going to San Bernardino. My uncle lives in San Bernardino. So I grew up going to San Bernardino all the time. And so, and I loved Southern California. And so he had bought a house in Oceanside. So when I decided time to move, I stayed at his Oceanside place and then scoped the valley, scoped the Southern California. And at the time, I had another friend who lived in Escondido, so I was thinking I was going to put a shop in Escondido. And long story short, it fell through. And but in the meantime, I'd found a house already in Temecula. Those same friends had said, hey, there's a new community up the road. I think you'd really like it. It's called Temecula. I said, fine, show it to me. So came up here. I saw a house, brought my wife out. She liked it. And she wasn't completely convinced of the move to California, but now she would never move back. But,
I bet.
Yeah. So opened my first barbershop in Marietta off of Los Alamos, not too far from this location here. And had that for about 15 years. But I opened one in Menifee, one in Temecula, the one that I'm at right now, another one in Temecula, then another one in Marietta. Then I opened one in Ladera Ranch, and then I opened another one in Wildemar, and I just recently, last year, purchased one in Lake Elsinore, which happens to be the oldest barber shop, I believe, in Southwest Riverside County. It's been there since 1950, I think, 5. And the guy who owned it right before me has owned it since 1959.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he's been cutting hair that long.
Yeah, he's 87 years old. He gave up cutting hair about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so, and he was always after me to buy a shop. And long story short, he finally talked me into it.
Twisted your arm.
He twisted my arm. So, so I presently have 5 shops that I personally own and manage. The one in Ladera I gave to my son and son-in-law, and then I have five locally. So
it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
you're a haircutting mogul with an empire.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
And if you have not been to Stu's Barbershop, it's unlike other barbershops. It is very unique and very decorated.
An eclectic, I call it.
Eclectic.
Yes.
So I want to show a little video. So Tyler the Tech is going to get this queued up for us. And we're going to watch this video. It's only about maybe 90 seconds. But I think this will give the viewers a good taste of what the experience is like at Stu's Barbershop. So.
Hi, my name is Stu, and welcome to Stu's Barbershop.
Holding on to the grinding gears of the past, I'm afraid to control my fears and run free, yeah. Too many bumps on the road I travel, I run to the top to show the world I'm able to run free, yeah. I'm able to run free, yeah. Despite all the danger, I still gotta chase it, I wanna be free, I gotta be free, gotta make the most of this moment. Gotta make the most of this moment. Gotta make the most of this moment.
That's my gift for you.
That was very cool.
Special shout out to Mr. Billy Tate, who was on the special camera crew on that one and got that done for us. And just want to really capture it because, you know, talking about a barbershop, there's lots of barbershops, but there's no other barbershop like a Stu's Barbershop.
No.
And that's just one of 5.
Right.
And so I really want to dive into this because it takes a certain type of personality to decorate eclectically like that.
Right.
I saw a Ronald McDonald. I saw an airplane. I saw an Illinois street sign.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Tell us about this
Well,
habit.
when I decided to open up my first shop, I wanted to create a place that a father and a son could go and feel proud to say they go. You know, if you go to Supercuts or Fantastic Sam's, you're not really probably going to shout that from the rooftops.
Yeah.
You know, but if you go to Stu's, I mean, it's an experience, and there's a cool factor to it.
It is.
And it's like my personal man cave.
Yeah.
And so, most of the stuff in there is stuff that either I grew up with, or I wanted when I was a kid, or you know, I thought was cool, you know, even before I was a kid, or so it all comes from my perception of what I like.
I like that.
So yeah. So and the customers do occasionally bring me in stuff, you know, that they think would be cool. Look on, and I'll usually accept it and find a spot for it. You know, license plates especially. Every shop has a license plates collection around the top of the shop, along with the train, and so yeah. I mean, it's just really just my version of my happy place.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it is so true because I remember the first time I walked in there, and again, you're like, John, you don't have any hair. Why would you go into a barbershop?
Right.
But I do have 3 little humans that call
Right.
me dad.
Right.
And it was exactly that situation
Yeah.
where, I mean, I think we've been going to you for, my oldest is 12, so
Right.
I don't think we did the first haircut there, but certainly ever since then, we've
Right.
been visiting you guys.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting because, especially kids, they have the ADD,
Right,
attention
right.
span, and so that the shop definitely keeps them entertained.
Right.
Do you have a favorite item?
Probably the robot, the Lawson Space robot.
Is that like an original, authentic kind of
It's
thing?
The actual chest cavity is made from the same mold as the original one from the TV show, but the rest of it was all just fan made. They were there. There's a website called B9 Robot Builders Club, and so if you go to that website, you can actually buy pieces of the robot and assemble one yourself.
Wow.
So, and it used to be pretty easy to do. Now the copyright is actually being protected, so it's not as easy to do anymore. But I got mine like at least 20 years ago on eBay. So,
And so you started doing this actually on your very first shop in 82, 83?
83, yeah,
So you went into it knowing like, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
absolutely.
And so you already had a collection.
No,
it just slowly built up?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's swap meets back there too, and that's usually if I'm going to open a shop. I used to be like a
Scavenger?
Well, yeah, like a swap meetaholic. Yeah. And so I used to just buy stuff and just if it looked cool and I thought it would look great in a shop, I'd buy it and I'd throw it in my warehouse. And so I have a warehouse full of this stuff. And so when I opened the Wildemar shop, I just went to the warehouse. I didn't really have to buy anything. And same with like Elsinore, it was kind of sparsely decorated. Well, you go there now, it looks just like all the rest of them. It's just every inch of the wall is covered with stuff. So,
Well, I'm a married man.
Yeah.
You're a married man.
correct.
So, truth be told, were you taking all the stuff home and then she was like, no, you need to take this somewhere else?
Negative. She never even knew I was buying half the stuff I bought.
Like a true
It
husband.
literally went straight to the warehouse. So
Oh,
she was kind of oblivious. But yeah, it's true. I don't get anything put up inside our house.
That's her domain.
Her donate. The garage, on the other hand, I have like a man cave in my garage with a pool table,
That's so cool.
pinball machine, and it looks like a mini Stu's in the garage. But that's it. That's my whole domain right there.
When you were growing up, was your room like that? Like, did you have stuff on the walls and?
No, believe it or not, no.
Okay.
But I started collecting TV guides when I was like 10.
That's another thing. Yeah, you got some really old ones on
I
the
do.
wall.
Yeah, I probably have a TV guide collection of 4,000 TV guides.
Wow.
Yeah, in the warehouse. So, I had an idea maybe 25 years ago of amassing this large collection of TV guides and then offering them on the internet as birthday gifts. So what do you get someone who has everything? What about the TV guide of the week they were born? So they could flick through and look at the TV shows that were on TV when they were, they were born, or even, get them when they were a kid. I mean, some of those TV guides they're very historical. I mean, a lot of them have sports figures. They have political figures on them. They got movie stars, TV stars. And so I just found them incredibly fascinating, even at the age of 10. So I used to keep them because my dad used to get TV Guide, and I used to keep them and ended up with a couple of boxes of them when I was a kid.
For anybody under the age of 30, if you don't know what a TV guide is, this is before DVRs
Right.
and the internet. So the only way people knew what was going to be on TV is through a TV guide.
Exactly.
And it's a really good snapshot of what's going on in the culture, politically,
Sure.
like you're saying, socially, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
what a cool concept.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So I want to shift gears. So not only are you a mogul of hair clippings, you are actually on the city council for the beautiful city of Temecula.
This is true.
And I did vote for you, so
Thank
I'm
you.
one of your constituents.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Uh-huh.
So why politics? Why go in that direction?
Well, I've always had a political bent.
Okay.
So even in my early 20s, I felt like I was going to do something politically one day. And so really immediately, once I got to Temecula, I thought I would be good at being a city councilman. And so although I was always kind of a little leery, only because I didn't want my barber chair to be the complaint chair.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, and it really hasn't turned out to be that. I mean, most people who come in, you know, they're more asking questions than they are complaining. You know, what's going on here? What's happening there? And so it's kind of cool for me to be able to disseminate that information to them, you know, with knowledge, because I'm sitting in the seat and I know exactly what's happening. So, and it's really been cool too. I've had people who've had situations that they needed to fix, you know, politically, not politically, but, you know, either in their neighborhoods or, you know, speed limit changes and stuff like that. And it's been really fun actually being a part of the process to get that stuff changed for the citizen.
So I was not the best student back in high school as far as civics goes.
Right.
So how about a quick little overview of civics? So you have obviously the president at the very top of the chain here,
Right.
kind of thing. But then you have the governor that's over the state.
Right.
And then, so the city-wide stuff is there's a city council and there's five members.
Right.
And so you guys kind of hash it out back and forth and wag your finger at each other and
Not
do that
so
kind
much.
of stuff?
No, I mean, realistically, probably 90%, 95% of the votes are 5-0. I mean, we all agree on, you know, a lot of stuff. I personally don't believe in high-density housing. And we've had a couple of projects come up that were high-density housing projects, so I voted against it. So, you know, it was a 4-1 vote. So, I mean, there is, but I wasn't really wagging my finger at them. I was more saying the infrastructure can't support it.
Right.
And
'Cause
so
it's already trafficula.
it's just a little bit of traffic out there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you have people, you know, sitting in that traffic for, I mean, just coming from the 76 to Temecula, I've heard it takes an hour now.
Wow. I believe it.
Yeah. So it's like, and that's a 10-minute ride.
Wow.
I mean, with no traffic, it takes 10, 12 minutes to go from there. So, you know, it's hard to, and to be fair, most of that traffic is traveling through Temecula. It's not actually getting off at Temecula. So we're not creating the backup as much as Menifee is almost 100,000 now. Menifee is almost the same size as Temecula, with a total build out of 250,000. So we think traffic is bad now. Unless we do something to that freeway, it's going to get horrendous.
Wow. And
And then again, Marietta's at 115,000, and their total build out is close to 200,000. Lake Elsinore is at 65,000. Their total build out is 185,000. Wildemar is their total build out is about 55,000. They're at about 32,000. So there's a lot of growth that's still going to take place in the valley here. And unless we do something about that freeway, it's going to be a world of hurt for a very long time.
wow.
So
Now, speaking of freeway, there actually is some development happening off Temecula Parkway. So
Correct.
you want to give us kind of an update of what's going on there?
So basically, they have created a clover leaf, not like the traditional one where you see 4 clover leaves. It's going to be a single clover leaf for the southbound 15. Instead of getting off and then hitting that stoplight and then backing up on the freeway, now you'll get off, you'll stay on a bridge that goes over the 79 and then loops around. And if you want to continue on Temecula Parkway, you don't have to stop. You can continuously
Keep that flow going.
keep that flow
Yeah.
going, which hopefully will alleviate the backup onto the 15 freeway.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I come from Bakersfield. You know, that's kind of my origin story. It's the armpit of California. So when I came to Temecula, I was like, oh, man, this place is awesome. But it does have that valley feel to it.
Right.
And so for those who are not familiar with Southern California, the geography and topography of it all, we have San Diego, which is probably about 45 minutes to an hour south of us. We have Orange County to the west of us, which is about an hour to hour and 20 minutes or so, depending on where you're trying to go. And then Los Angeles is kind of to the northeast. To the north of us is Riverside, and then to the east of us is Palm Springs. So we're this nice little kind of cute little community in this valley here. And as from a real estate agent perspective, what I see happening, because the prices are just getting insane in San Diego and Orange County, people are coming here to Temecula to live, because for $400,000 to $500,000 you get an amazing house, and in San Diego that gets you a condo or something not so nice. So we have a lot of people coming to live here, but then they're commuting. And so what he's saying is that this traffic is really bundling up here. And it's only going to probably get worse. But people like Stu on city council are trying to make those changes now so we can kind of prevent that pain. Is that kind of a good?
Yeah, the unfortunate part is the freeway is not our purview. So we don't have authority to do anything to the freeway. So we have to basically petition Caltrans and the federal government, because the 15 is both a state highway and a federal highway.
Right.
So we're dealing with two different agencies. The good thing is, because it is a regional freeway, it affects more than just Temecula. So as we're going for dollars from the state and the federal government, we have an advantage, you might say, because it just doesn't benefit Temecula. It benefits Menifee, it benefits Marietta, it benefits Lake Elsinore. So so we're really hoping that, if the Trump infrastructure bill actually gets passed, there will be dollars. Also, this SB1, the gas tax. I know it's in the repeal process. They're trying to repeal it this November, but there is a constitutional amendment that's being presented on for the June election, for the primary, that would make SB1 money untouchable except for transportation concerns. So, and that's a concern for everybody, because SB1, the money just dumped into the general fund with the promise that it's going to go for transportation.
And they always do the right thing. Don't
They
those
always do the right thing in Sacramento. So, but this constitutional amendment will change that, so as that gas tax money goes in, it literally goes into a completely separate account, managed and budgeted by a completely separate agency, then will funnel out to. Because our French Valley Parkway project, which is right now that exit that kind of goes to nowhere right now, right before Winchester, well, that's going to be a bridge that goes across. Okay. So it's going to tie into Date Street. Date Street will then become a way to get out to French Valley. Wow. And then what also that do, the second phase of it, it creates a frontage road from Winchester. So right now, I think most of the traffic backup that occurs is because when people get on Winchester onto the freeway, they immediately want to, if they're going on the 15, they want to start crossing over those 4 lanes of traffic. Yep. Well, that slows down the freeway, because everybody then slows down to let these people through, blah, blah. So what we need, what's going to happen is you're going to have a parallel road. So you won't get on the freeway from Winchester. So you get on the frontage road, you'll take it all the way up to Date Street, and then you go up a hill and connect to the bridge, and then you'll do like a flyover. So if you're going on the 15, you'll actually take this, and it'll drop you into the 15 over the traffic.
Nice.
Instead of merging through the traffic.
Yeah.
So I think that in itself is going to alleviate a lot of the traffic headaches right now.
That's fascinating how people think of these things.
Yeah.
Do you think of these things?
Oh, I have thought of it, but
I just think about how angry I am when I'm merging into the traffic.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody is. So, and that to me is the perfect solution.
Yeah.
But see, all that money is tied up into this SB1 funding. So we stand to lose about $80 million of funding for the French Valley Parkway alone. So that's something, if it passes and the constitutional amendment does protect the SB1 monies, I'm hoping people, because I would repeal SB1 too, if there was no protection over it. Like right now, it's just a general fund issue, and so I would probably want to repeal it too. But now that I know that money's going to be protected and it is going to go for infrastructure, we got to have it.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's only getting more crowded
Yeah.
in Southwest Riverside County, but all over the state of California.
Yeah.
So, and that money will be basically doled out across the state. So I see it as valuable and necessary. So,
And so that's going to be happening in the next few months here?
yeah, in June there's going to be the constitutional amendment, and then it's already on the ballot, I believe, for November to recall it.
Okay.
So if the constitutional amendment passes, then we're hoping that the recall effort goes flat, because now people are less concerned about the money just being a slush fund.
Yeah.
So,
Very interesting.
yeah.
So let's bring it back to the common man, such as myself and
Right.
other Temeculans. How do we participate in that process? Is that by voting? Is
Yes.
that by raising our fist and complaining about it on Facebook kind of thing? Or what's the best way to kind of...
Yeah, no, the best way is to vote for that constitutional amendment, because that really is the linchpin to securing those funds for transportation forever.
Right.
Because you know our state, if there's an opportunity for them to take money and put it somewhere else, they're going to. So it
Can't
literally
we just have a bullet train through Temecula?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It would make more sense going through Temecula. I mean, between San Diego and Riverside, a bullet train, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But no, they're going to put it out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what you can do. And I have a Facebook page, Temecula Stew.
Okay.
And I post all this stuff on my Facebook page. So anything to do with the city, any new programs, any issues just like this that the citizens need to be aware of, I post it on there. And so if anybody is interested, that would be a great way to engage. I've had a lot of people already comment to me that they know more about the city of Temecula since I've been elected than they've been here all along, just because of that page, because
great.
I'm constantly putting out information about the city, programs. I mean, there's a lot of good things that happen in the city of Temecula, and a lot of it goes completely unnoticed.
And that's a little bit of my heart's desire of bringing you on here, because a few weeks ago you were gracious enough to allow my family and I to come in for a little tour around City Hall and stuff like that. I had no idea a lot of the programs that were going on.
Right.
And so I think this is a great segue to talk about some of those programs.
Yeah.
I was on your Facebook page kind of checking things out, and I know I'm going to butcher this name, but is it a trades program? You had 18 people in there?
Well, basically, this kind of was bore out of when I was in high school. Again, there was another course that I was able to take that got me out of school. Was called building trades. So I literally went to school for a couple of hours, and then I left to go build a house on a construction site. And so the school basically employed a contractor, a retired contractor, and he oversaw all of us kids building a house. So I learned how to frame, I learned how to do plumbing, I learned how to do electrical, I learned how to do roofing, and everything else, all the trim work, everything that's in a house, I got to do when I was a junior and senior in high school. And so I had mentioned this to Charles Walker, who is one of our staff in City Hall. And so he put together a construction trades class. So basically, Habitat for Humanity has got involved too. So what we're going to do is they're going to learn how to do blueprints. They're going to take OSHA training, so safety, and they're going to take CPR, so they're going to be certified in CPR. And then, did I say blueprints?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and then they're going to build a shed. So there's 18 people signed up for the class right now. So they're going to build 3 sheds.
And high school people or anybody?
No, this
could be anybody.
18 and over.
Okay.
So I would say probably, 6 or 7 of them, I would say 18 to 20. And then there's some in their 20s to 30s. And there was even a couple of older, people. And really that was my thought and my goal was, veterans who are, this town is full of veterans.
Yep.
And veterans who are getting out of the military, want to, maybe pick up a trade or, learn something like that. And people don't realize most construction sites, you'll see 2 guys with a shovel and you'll see 6 guys watching.
Standing watching, yeah.
And that's your safety officer, that's your,
I thought they were just lazy.
No.
There's a reason for it?
Every
Okay.
single one of them are getting paid a nice
Decent
chunk of
amount.
money. Yeah, I mean, if you're in if it's a government project, it's a prevailing wage job, which prevailing wage is like $45 an hour.
Wow.
So literally, you could be standing there with the stop sign directing traffic, making $45 an hour.
You hear that, kids?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm trying to encourage. And right now, the construction industry is really, really hurting for qualified labor.
Yeah.
And so that's the goal of this program, is to get them some experience that maybe crack the door open so they could get into a construction, because most of these prevailing wage jobs are these big operations. You'll see, I can't even think of their names now, but there's a couple of really big ones that get all the bridge projects, all the road projects. But they're always looking, because it's a hard, and that goes back to, it seems like college has been so drummed into these kids that they're coming out with these college degrees, but so is everybody else.
Yeah.
So, but they don't have a skill, they don't have a trade, they don't have something that they can actually trade on. Yep. So that's really, because I'm that guy. I'm that guy who didn't go to college. Actually, I did for one semester and realized I was in the wrong spot.
Right with you, buddy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was always constantly doing. I like working with my hands. I like creating things. I like building things. So that was always a natural for me. So that's why I cut hair. I have rental properties. I do all my own remodels, and and I can literally do everything. So.
Well, I'm so glad that you spoke to that, and the following 30 seconds is going to be my personal opinion and things like that. So don't hold Stu to this on the next political election cycle. But I am that generation that grew up where I was told, as soon as you graduate high school, you're going to go to college, you're going to get your marketing degree in business and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I saw so many of my fellow classmates go into that path. And I tried doing it for a few weeks, and I couldn't do it.
Right.
But at that time, I was 18, 19 years old. My mom had passed away a few years before, so I was kind of dealing with that kind of stuff. But I actually started a motorcycle accessories business when I was 14 years old. So I was always very entrepreneurial, good at marketing, promoting, advertising. And so when I got into college, I was like, what, read from a textbook? No, I want to go do things. And so I really want to encourage people that maybe are kind of in that no man's land where college isn't working out for you, but now you're just living on your mom's couch kind of thing. Find a mentor. Find somebody that will take you under the wing, and whatever your heart's desire is, whether that's graphics design or cutting hair or real estate marketing, anything that might be. You don't always necessarily have to go get yourself $100,000 in debt to learn a trade or anything like that, because Temecula has a great program such as this. So if you are looking for something, how do they find out more about that kind of a trade program?
Well, again, my Temecula Stew page,
Okay.
Anytime there's a new program starting up, I put it on there.
Okay.
So that really is the easiest way. I mean, the city posts this stuff on their website, but it's kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack.
Right.
So I make it stupid simple, so stupid simple. And so I post everything that is coming up as far as, and there's some other really good programs. I mean, there's medical programs, to get into the medical industry. There's even there's several other, and I can't. I'm kind of brain dead right now. But there are other programs. It's not just construction. So again. Yeah, go to Temecula Stew and like it, and as stuff comes up, I will post it, and it'll just pop up on your feed.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, keep me in mind if you need a little person to be the promoter or something like
Okay.
that. So I'll bring the film crew out, and we'll
Sure.
do a day on the job, do a Mike Rowe kind of
There you go.
style video
There
or
you
something
go.
like that.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground, but I do want to end with some of your personal experiences because I do follow you on Facebook.
Right.
And you just recently went to Egypt, which I think is pretty awesome.
Right.
Especially since you actually picked up one of the pyramids.
I did.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to his page and you'll see him pick up the pyramid.
Yeah, right.
And you saw the face of Moses' stepbrother?
Half-brother.
How cool
well,
is that?
adopted
brother,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Yeah, no, it was definitely a bucket list trip. It was one of those
So your
things-
first time there?
First time to Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah, so we spent 2 days in Cairo. So we did the pyramids,
Mm-hmm.
and we rode camels through the desert around the pyramids.
That seems uncomfortable.
It wasn't very comfortable. No,
It was not pleasant.
but it was one of those things you had to do it.
Yeah.
And then we spent 2 nights on the Nile River, actually on a riverboat. So literally, I slept on the Nile River for 2 nights. So that was
So
really
you
kind
were
of cool.
in denial?
I was in denial.
Sorry, bad jokes here.
Right,
All day
right,
long.
right.
That's what I'm here for.
So then we went to Jordan, and I did Petra, which for people who don't know what Petra is a city that was created out of a mountain. So literally, it was all carved into the side of a mountain. It's one of the 10 wonders of the ancient world.
Wow.
And
And what was that? 2,000 to 3,000 BC?
2000? No, not. It was right around the time of Christ. Actually, it was about 300 BC to about 400 AD.
Wow.
So and that was fascinating because they even had running water. I mean, that far ago, they figured out how to get water from where it was down to where they were, and it was amazing. I mean, it was a very, very incredible trip.
Humans are fascinating little creatures, aren't we?
Well, you know what? It made me realize there's genius in every. It doesn't matter if it was 5,000 years ago. I mean, just looking at the face of Ramses II, who died 3,000 years ago, and his face was fully intact, his nose, his ears, his hair, and I literally know what he looks like. You know, so I looked at the face of a face that looked at Moses, which just really kind of
You think about that.
It
Sit
just,
on that
yeah,
for a second.
yeah. You just once you mull that over, it's like unbelievable.
Wow.
So yeah, it was an awesome trip.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Right on. You got any other trips coming up here?
No, I literally have been. My wife takes a lot of mission trips, so I'll tag along on the mission trips once in a while. So I've been literally all over the world, from Ethiopia to Nepal to Ecuador to Haiti to and 100 other places. So
Exploring God's creation. That's awesome, man.
exactly, yeah.
That's so cool.
yeah.
Well, any other tips or bits of advice or things that you want to talk about before we wrap this up here?
No, I would just reiterate your thought on, if there's any kids listening who are not book smart, and I it's not even so much book smart. It's I don't learn that way.
Right.
I learn by experiential.
Right.
And so, and I know there's a lot of kids out there who are the same way. And you'll get to college and you'll spin your wheels and you'll hate every minute of it and wonder why.
Waste money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I would highly encourage them to look into trades, look into some sort of a trade school, or find out what kind of trade opportunities the city has. And frankly, there's a lot of JCs that have trade schools within their JC community. So I would highly recommend it. And there's a lot of work out there. I mean, I was just talking to a kid in my chair, maybe 22 or 3, and I always ask, what do you do? And he says, I'm a welder. And I thought, okay, cool. And he's making $28 an hour welding.
That's awesome.
And he literally just fell into it. He happened to be somewhere, and someone said, yeah, I need a welding assistant. And he said, well, I'm not doing anything. And he got trained as a welding assistant, and now he's making, $28 an hour, a year or so later. So there's ways to make decent money. My cousin, he's a welder, but he's a specialty welder. Mm-hmm. He makes a couple $100,000 a year because he fixed molds. I mean, he's perfected his welding so well that he can take a mold that like an auto manufacturer uses, and they crack and over stress, after being used so many times. He can come in, he can fix it, he can actually make modifications if they want to change the mold a little bit, but he makes a lot of money. So, there's a lot. He never went to college either.
Yep.
So.
And I was raised with that idea that if you didn't go to college, then you better go in the military or you better go find somewhere else to live because you're not going to be sitting on the couch kind of thing.
Right.
And I see a lot of this generation coming up, not to throw a blanket on all of them, but there's a lot like, well, if I can't get $100,000 right out of college, then I'm not going to do anything. It's like, well, sometimes you got to start at the bottom. You got to push the broom. You got to scrub the toilets. And then, you're in the right place at the right time with the right people. And all of a sudden doors open. And that was kind of my story of how I got into real estate in a sense. And, I was the servant boy, you know what I mean? I was the gopher and did all that kind of stuff. And then now I do very well, you know? And so start small, but start with something.
Right.
Don't just sit there.
Exactly.
That's my message to the generation. Those damn kids.
Yeah.
I'm 36. I could say when I was your age.
Right.
I'm an old man now.
That's funny.
Well, Stu, thank you so much. It truly was an honor and a privilege to have you in here.
Sure.
I hope you'll come back as things develop with Temecula. I'd love to talk about those kind of things in the future. And that's it. John Butler, ball guy in the red tie, with Mr. Stu from Stu's Barbershop and the city councilman saying, we'll see you next time, Red Tie community. Bye-bye.